Hi everyone, welcome to Good Day Chula Vista episode 60. And if you want to have financial security, this is the show for you. So stay with us. Welcome back. You want to mute your phone?
Yes, it is mute.
Thank you for joining us to another episode of Good Day Chula Vista. Today we are here with the favorite manager at Coldwell Banker West.
Woo-hoo.
Actually, not just in Coldwell Banker West, South Bay, because you've been in a couple of companies throughout, the years. Not that you've been in real estate so many years.
Yes, I have, and I'm proud of it. 33 years and only 3 companies.
So we have a really good show for you. I'm really excited to get all the answers and all the advice from Karen today. Please help me out by sharing this video to your page right now because I know your friends are going to love it. They're going to learn something, and trust me, we're going to make some adjustments in our finances after this show. So Karen, we all know you very well, but not everybody does. So can you introduce yourself? Tell us about you, what you've done, how you got here, why we love you so much.
Wow, okay. Why you love me so much? Because it's me. No. Okay, so I'm Karen Vargas, and I have been in the real estate industry for 33 years, out of which 31 of those have been in management. I was originally born in Mexico City to Dutch-German parents, and one day my husband said, let's go to San Diego, and I thought, well, let's do it. Let's be there 2 years, go shopping, have some fun, and 38 years later, here we are. So
You loved it so much.
Yes, we're very, very fortunate to be here. I believe that we have the best of both worlds. So yes, I'm very, very happy.
And you have how many daughters?
I have 2 daughters. I have 1 son. They're 5 years apart each, and each one of them got married at age 25 every 5 years. I have 9 beautiful grandchildren, so each one of my kids has 3.
Mm-hmm.
Oldest one is 11, and the youngest one is 2. And they are my pride and joy.
Yes, they are. You've been married how many years?
I have been married 40 years.
40 years.
Yes.
Yay. Good job.
To the same person.
That alone is, yeah. Yeah, you have to say that.
Yes.
So Karen, I know when I talked to you and I said, it's time for you to be in the show because you have so much advice and you're such a wise person. You've been through so many
Thank you.
things, ups and downs, and in this market, and you've seen a lot of us struggle and then recover. So I'm sure you've been through so many things. So when we talked about what are we going to talk about on the show, when you told me, like, you know what, let's talk about financial security. I'm really excited. So we all want financial freedom. So where do we start?
Okay, first of all, let me share with you that this is not only for realtors, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants financial security, For realtors, it's probably a little bit harder because you don't have a steady paycheck.
Right.
So you can't predict how much you're going to be making, so that makes it a little bit harder. However, this applies to everybody, and I'm going to tell you, the very first thing that you need to do is get rid of your credit cards. Okay? It is cheaper to go gambling in Vegas than it is to have credit cards. Keep one for emergency purposes, but why do you think it's so easy to get them?
Mm-hmm.
Every day we get in the mail, would you like a Visa? Would you like a MasterCard? Chase, all of these. That's because they make a lot of money with us. If you have an outstanding balance, you're going to pay the minimum. You're going to end paying up 4 or 5 times what you actually spent.
Right.
So that's the first thing that you need to realize. It's plastic is very dangerous, and the majority of us go to Costco, right?
Right.
How easy is it to spend money at Costco? Because you absolutely need your card just to go in.
Right.
And then you obviously needed to come out because that's what you pay for. And all of a sudden you realize.
And it's never less than $100 in that store.
Exactly.
And do you really need everything? Because you
Well,
go
we're
there
going to talk a lot about that,
Okay,
of what
good.
you need, okay? So that would be the first step, you know. Open your wallet, check which credit cards you have, and
get rid of them
get
as
rid of
many
them,
as you
put them
can.
in your drawer, and have one in your wallet only for true emergencies.
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, again, it's cheaper to go to Vegas and gamble. You're gonna lose less money than
Right.
the credit cards. Step number 2 is you have to set goals.
Okay.
Okay. You absolutely have to set goals. Let me tell you that it is proven. I love always, as you know, Faby, I love statistics. So I do research, and statistics tell us that only 3% of humanity, of retired people, live independently wealthy. Only 3%. 10% live comfortably. 60% just get by day. And 27% are financially dependent. Where
Wow.
would you like to be?
The top 10.
Absolutely, right? If you cannot be the 3% independently wealthy,
At least on the
at
top
least
10.
you want to be to live comfortably
Mhm.
at the standards that you like. So, you know, what's the difference? What do you think the difference would be between the 3%er or the 10%ers and the low 27 who's dependent? What it is number 1, that they have goals and they have them in writing.
So when you mean goals, like goals, what kind of goals?
You have to have a goal of how much money first of all, you have to figure out how much money am I going to need for the kids' college? How much money am I going to need to buy a house? How much money am I going to need for retirement? For medical insurance if I'm planning on retiring before Social Security. So what are your goals? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? And that's the biggest mistake that we do, that we're happy that we have a job. We're happy to get a paycheck, but we just don't have
Any
plans.
goals? You know what, Karen, now that you're saying like set your goals, I remember when I was doing the short sales, and we still do, when we were doing a short sale, I sit with the client and I said, okay, tell me all your accounts and all your payments. And when I add, okay, you pay your car, you pay everything. So I do the monthly payments for them because the bank wants to know what are their payments. They didn't know. So they're like, oh my God, my payments are $8,000 a month. I only make $6,000. So, okay, that's why you're in a financial hardship. But when you're saying set goals, it's like, first, like to get to that point, they need to figure out how much money do they need just to live.
And we're going to talk about that because
You're
that's super important.
Right.
Absolutely. That's why I say the goals need to be specific.
Clear and specific.
Very important, okay? And they have to be in writing.
Yes.
So typically I get asked, so what do you mean by specific? What is a specific goal? Well, the first thing is that they need to be in writing, okay? Here's the deal. Remember how we talked about the 3%, 10%, 60%? So here's the deal. The 3% that are independently wealthy have goals
goal.
in writing.
Okay.
The 10% have goals and review them every now and then.
They don't know them by heart.
Exactly. The 60% might have goals in mind every now and then, and the bottom 27% have no goals whatsoever. So we absolutely need to make sure that we have goals, and they need to be specific. They need to be in writing. Okay.
Okay.
I always like to give analogies, Faby, and it's same thing as would you wake up in the morning, shower, get dressed, have breakfast, get in your car, and start driving without knowing where you're going?
I love that when you say that at the
Okay.
meetings.
Yeah, but it's true.
Right.
You know, the majority of us, tend to do that because we don't have specific.
She doesn't mean that you
goals.
actually get in the car and just drive to go nowhere. She means that you live your life that way. Like if you were just getting in the car and just driving anywhere
Well,
with no destination.
It is that you must create a roadmap.
Yeah.
How are you going to get there? Okay? It is important to have that roadmap. Without that roadmap, truly, we're just getting in the car and we're starting to drive
Yeah.
without really knowing
With
where
no
we're going.
destination whatsoever.
Right? Yes. So here's the most important piece of all this. There's a huge difference between wants and needs.
Okay.
So for financial security, we have to have very clear understanding of what the wants are versus the needs. So every time that you're going to buy something, ask yourself, do I need it? If you go to the stores, no matter if it's a grocery store or if it's a clothing store, they have gimmicks and we fall for it. So let's say you're going to buy peanut butter and you see and it says 2 for $8 and you're like, oh my God, and they're big, that's cheap, and you get 2. Well, guess what? 1 is $4. But
You don't have to get 2.
Exactly, but because you see 2 for $8, it's automatic.
Right.
Then, you go to the mall and you see that they have, oh my gosh, that blouse is reduced to only $29.99. That's a really good price for that blouse. But do you need it? So you need to ask yourself, do I need it or do I want it?
Right.
To have financial security, unless you have a huge income, you cannot afford to do that. So, best suggestion that I have for today is stop buying, stupid stuff.
Yeah, that you don't need.
You don't need it. And it's proven that out of the 100% of the things that we buy that we don't need, 70% of them get forgotten in the closet, in the drawer, in the pantry. And the other 3%, nobody knows what happens, and 27% is given away because we don't need it. So
Yeah.
if you start adding up the money that you spend in things that you really don't need, now I'm not saying don't spoil yourself every now and then.
Right.
Okay, so if you're doing really good and you had great success in something and you have a little extra, okay, spoil yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But on a daily basis, make sure that you always, the moment you're going to buy something, do I need it or do I want it?
Right. If it's shoes, I need them.
And how many pairs can you wear, Faby?
I know. You know what? Now I am with you on that. I think maybe because I'm already 49. Well, no, there's people that are older than me and are still doing that. I'm really
I'm
cautious.
60 and I still do it.
My closet is not that big, so honestly, now I think, would it fit in my closet? What do I have to get rid of before I put it in there? So I think like that now.
And we all do that. I have to tell you, the other day I went to visit my daughter and son-in-law and the kids, and my 2-year-old granddaughter took me upstairs to show me her room. And she opened the closet. She's 2 years old.
And it's full.
And it's full, but I counted 17 pairs of shoes. 2 years old. I'm like, no wonder my daughter doesn't have any money.
Yeah, they're not gonna fit.
Exactly.
They're not gonna fit.
I mean, she's gonna grow out of them before she can wear them.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point of making sure that you know the difference between wants and needs, and you ask yourself that question.
Yeah. What's that quote? If you buy things that you don't need, pretty soon you're gonna end up selling things to buy things you need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a really great way of putting it. Mm-hmm.
All right. So then, set goals in writing. Create a roadmap. Don't buy things you don't need.
Right.
Differentiate between wants and needs.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Let me see. So I had some questions here. So I don't know if I should go through these. When you say goals, you must be specific. Yeah, it's not easy to save money. How do we do it? And
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. So that's
So here's, the question I've asked all the time is like, so Karen, tell me, do you really think that if we stop buying a lot of stuff, we're going to have enough money to save? You know, when you save, you really have to save big money, okay? Not necessarily, okay? Yes, what I mean is if you stop buying all that stuff, yes, definitely you will be able to save something, okay?
Right.
Now, unfortunately, I'm going to share with you what the philosophy of saving is. And I actually learned this through a friend who unfortunately had to file for bankruptcy. And actually, what the judge told her was a true eye opener, and it is that here's the deal: depending on your income, we all can save, whether it's $5, $10, $20, $100, or $1,000 a week or a month.
Mm-hmm.
We all have the capability of doing it. But unfortunately, the psychology that we have in our mind is that, oh, I will save whatever I have left over.
Mm-hmm. Which
Well,
is nothing. You'll spend it.
We don't have anything left over because we spend it in stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to ask ourselves, do I need it? And stop spending that money, and you had been able to save $5 a week, let's up it to 10. Okay, that's $40 a month.
So you save them, you put them in the savings account before.
Anyway, I'm so glad you asked that question. Why do you think the 401k concept was invented? It's because all of us are like that. Money is like, when you go to the beach
Mm-hmm.
and you grab a handful of sand, the tighter you hold it, the more sand that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up only with a few grains of sand in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Money is exact same thing. So that's why there's a 401k, so that you don't touch it. If you touch it, it's gone.
Yeah. You want to invest
So
it.
you need to create, if you don't have a 401k wherever you work, if you do have, absolutely participate. It's a huge mistake that we do, that we say, no, I don't have enough, even if it's just a tiny little bit,
Yeah.
okay? But absolutely it works. Now, there's other ways that you can do it, and I don't know the word in English, Faby. How
No.
would you translate it, Gundina? So,
First of all, I think they're illegal in the U.S., but Kundina, so it's like you're saving and you get a number.
well, here's what it is.
So I think most of our viewers will know what a Kundina is, but
or
kind of
a
explain
tanda.
it. Kind of explain it how it works.
So here's how it works. You get a group together. So let's say that we have 30 of us friends,
Mm-hmm.
and we're numbered 1 through 30, and we all contribute $50 a week, or just for easiness in numbers, let's say that's $100 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so number 1, Faby has number 1, and she gets the full amount, which is $3,000. But Faby will continue every week, $100, $100, $100, and then number 2 gets it, number 3 gets it, number 4 gets it, and like that. By the end of the 30 weeks,
Everybody got their $3,000.
everybody got their $3,000.
And everybody paid their $3,000.
Everybody paid their $3,000. So, my husband says, it's such a silly way. Why don't you just go to the bank and put it in the bank? Well, because the bank is going to pay you peanuts anyway, and you're never going to get to the bank to put it in,
Yeah.
because on the way to the bank, you're going to find some shoes that you like, and you're going to buy them. So you have to find the way of how you're going to do it and the amount, okay? I just had a friend that told me for the first time, because you've been talking about Kundinas for a long time, and for the first time I did it, and they just handed me $700. And she was like, oh my goodness, I have $700 extra.
Right.
I said, well, it could either be extra, or
Be savings.
you can pretend you don't have it and now go to the bank and put it in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So if every 30 weeks you get 700 or 3,000 or 5,000, that's a really good amount of money that
Yeah.
you start collecting.
And I believe that the more money you put in the bank, the more money that comes into your life. Dinero llama dinero. That's what they say.
That's it. Absolutely. Money calls money. Okay, so now, questions. If you have any other questions, Faby?
On that, on to save. Well, I remember when my kids were little and I was living paycheck to paycheck, and it was this month, do I pay the gas and electric, or do I pay the HOA of this condo? I mean, that's what it came to at the end of the month. And I only had some extra money when I had a 5-week month, because I would get paid weekly, and I used to work in a store, retail store. So that week I would get 5 checks. So oh my God, those were my
Yes.
best months, right?
3 months out of the year. Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, everything would get paid, and maybe I had $20 left. Okay, so we would go to Denny's because we had $20 left. I could have saved those $20, but I didn't. Right? I would just like, you know what? I want to go to Denny's and have somebody serve me the coffee. But what I did have was my tax refund at the end of the year, Karen. You know, that was a way that I could have saved back then, because that was extra money that I would get at the end of the year that I was not counting on. And I remember I would get like $2,000 to $3,000. So I didn't save it. I would always go and trade in my car or buy furniture for the house, or just, you know, spoil myself with all that instead of saving. As I got older, obviously I got wiser and I learned about saving, especially after we started working on commission. I had to. But I think for the people that are living paycheck to paycheck, they do get a tax refund.
They get a tax refund, and even when you are living paycheck to paycheck. The truth is that we all go to the store and we waste at least $5, right?
Yeah.
So depending on your income, it's a stepping stone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just creating the habit of doing it. And I have to tell you, it feels really, really good when whether it is that you have it in a coffee can that you just put your money there, or you have it in an envelope, or you put it in the bank. It feels really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big sense of accomplishment, especially when you're living day to day, because you're working towards getting results and you're getting them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the most important piece. It's just creating the habit, and as things get better, now granted, if you're going to have to decide between saving and eating, well then obviously you're going to eat, right? Or saving your house or paying your rent. I understand for some people it might be difficult, but you have to have that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do it today, work towards being able to do it. How can you get there? The most important piece, Faby, is what you had discussed earlier, and it is that you guys and gals, you have to know what your break-even point is, your financial break-even point.
Mm-hmm.
You really need to sit down and know exactly how much you need to survive. You will be surprised as to how much you would be able to save if you knew what you needed and not what you wanted. So you have to sit down and you have to get the average. Right now it's September, so you would do it divided between 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
But start, add up. How much have you paid in water? How much have you paid in electricity, gas and electricity? Your car payment. How much have you spent in gas? Is it a pain? Yes, it is. But once you do it, first of all, it will be an eye-opener. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to share with you that for my husband and I, it was a true eye-opener, because with 9 grandkids, I tell you, it becomes expensive. I buy them a lot of stuff. We take them out to lunch, and we realized that we were spending a big number on getting them toys that they didn't use or broke the very first day.
Mm-hmm.
Clothes that they don't need, shoes to add to the 17 pairs. And
you probably bought all those 17 pairs, Karen.
No, only 3. Okay, so but I have 2 more in my car. Okay, so you have to know your break-even point. You absolutely have. You have to do it together. Mm-hmm. And there's different ways of how you can save. Also, if you have 2 working people in a household, okay, husband and wife, mother, daughter, whatever it is, if you have 2 household incomes, figure out, is there a way, do I need both 100%? Or can we live on 1.5, the husband's and half of the wife's 1 month and save the other half?
Yeah.
Or can we survive 1 month with the wife's and do it like that? Mm-hmm. And it's truly an eye-opener. You will be surprised as to how much you spend in things that you don't need. When we go grocery shopping without a list, what happens? We buy things that we don't need, and we forget what we really want to get.
Yes, exactly. You end up buying tons more things. because you don't have a list when you get there. Karen, what about, since I'm in real estate, I want to ask you, what about saving in your house? Like saving, for example, I want to give extra, instead of putting it in the bank, I want to give extra payments towards my principal of my mortgage. Or maybe I want to get an equity line of credit to buy a car.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
what
Those
about, because that's an extra, I mean, that's like a piggy bank that we have when we
Yes.
own a house.
Yes.
How would you recommend, what have you seen, and what do you recommend with your experience?
So those are great questions, Faby, and here it is. Okay, depending on your age, if you are younger, don't sit on your equity. Get an equity line, and if you need a car, buy a car with that money, because then you get the deductions. When buying a car, you don't. Okay, so yes, if you have equity, use it. Don't completely deplete it. Okay, again, when we have equity in our homes, it's real easy to get equity lines. I mean, the banks are like, here, free money, please take it. Okay, and that's because it's a trap. So we have to have a plan. If you're older, sit on your equity.
Like older, like past what age do you recommend from what you've seen?
Well, my husband and I are in the 60s and 70s, and we just got an equity line to do a little remodel because it's going to be to our benefit because we have big equity, and like that, if we decide to sell, then we're going to make it back.
Yeah.
But we made arrangements with the bank so that we cannot touch a big portion of it. It's just there in case of an emergency. But we want no checks, we want nothing because we're too old for it.
In case you downsize, then
Exactly. So yes, use your equity. And I know you had a second question. What was the second question, Faby?
That if you want to pay more towards your principal.
Okay, that's a great question. So I always recommend making 13 payments a year.
Okay.
If you do that, you will pay off your loan in 19 years versus 30. But most important, for the first 15 years of your loan, a very small portion goes to principal. Okay? So the amount you still owe is still huge. And meanwhile, you're just making the banks or the lenders' pockets fuller and fuller and fuller. So my suggestion definitely is make 13 payments. How do you do that? By dividing one payment into 12 payments and adding that amount to every single monthly payment. You have to be very careful when you do that because you have to stipulate that X amount is going to be applied to principal. Otherwise, they just think you're paying in advance.
So let's say your payment is $2,800. So that means that every month you're gonna send your payment $2,800, and you're gonna add $233. There's a line where you send it in and you say those $233 should be applied to my principal.
Yes.
Otherwise, they'll just add it to the next payment,
Exactly.
and next month you owe less. So you have to make sure you do that. And even if you're doing automatic payment, you can do that because I'm doing that now with my house. And you know what? It starts showing right away.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how much your balance gets smaller and smaller
Your
every month.
principal balance starts going down, and that's a great feeling. And $230, yes, it's a lot, but at the same time, it's not, because what you're doing is creating a huge savings. Just so that you know, okay? And I brought the statistics. You know me, Faby, and statistics, okay? So if you have a property, let's say that you have $30,000 in equity, just to throw numbers right now, okay? You have $30,000 in equity, okay? Without any appreciation, which it's hard not to have, without any appreciation, in 15 years, your equity is going to be $150,000.
Wow.
Now, if you have $30,000 and you have just 5% appreciation, in 15 years, you will have equity of $311,839. There is no bank that is going to pay you that.
Right. No. No, no, no. This is
So
the
if
best
you
way to do it.
can do those $230 additional and pay 13 or 14 payments, well, first of all, 13, and that's it. You reduce your loan amount.
11
your
years.
number,
So
11 years.
years you paid
And
off.
those 11 years are the years that you paid the most number of interest.
Yeah. So let's say if you save 11 years, let's say your payment was 2,800. I want to know how this times 12, that's 33 a year, times how many did we say? 11 years?
Mm-hmm.
You save $369,000.
There we go.
Wow.
So if we start putting money aside, no matter how much we put on a weekly basis, our savings is not going to reach that. So that's why I always say, you need to make sure that you know where you're going to be investing your money. And actually, I have a point about that I wanted to talk about, if it's okay, Faby.
Yeah.
And that is that, do you know what the cost of living is in San Diego County?
The cost of living is expensive.
San Diego is expensive. Yes.
Right.
So, and I'm going to give you the average statistics, which
Okay.
is based on the average income and the average home of a price, which right now is the median price in San Diego is $385,000. So just so that you have a reference, okay? So, okay, the amount required to live in San Diego, average, based on a median income, is $3,000 per adult.
Okay. A month.
A month. So that's a minimum of $6,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you realize that if you rent a 3-bedroom, 2-bath is renting for how much?
Yeah, like $2,500.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
$2,800, $2,900.
Right.
That's already 50% of a 2 household income of $3,000.
Yes.
Okay? If you own, your mortgage is going to be a little lower, but still it is a huge percentage.
Right. But you're making equity.
You're making, that's why I'm
And you get
going.
a tax deduction at the end of the year.
Exactly. That's why, I always say, here's the deal, people typically ask me, so Karen, how do we get there? How do we learn to save? Where do I get the motivation from? Okay. So it is proven, Faby, that what motivates us is not a number, not an amount. So right now, I bet you that our viewers said, oh my goodness, $311,000 in 15 years. That sounds great. But within 30 minutes, that number is going to go away. Okay? And if not by tomorrow, what was that number? We don't remember, right?
The excitement is gone.
Yes. So what we need to really discover is what motivates us.
Yeah. Okay.
And what motivates us, I call it the why.
Okay.
Okay? Why do we want it? So I always say, let's go ahead and create our buckets. What are the buckets that we typically want? The buckets that we typically want is, let's save money for college for the kids. Let's save money to buy a car. Let's save money to travel, pay our debts. So all those are our buckets, right?
Medical expenses.
Medical expenses, medical insurance. Okay, so yes, all those buckets are super important. However, why don't we just create one big bucket that takes us to saving for a down payment of an investment property? Mm-hmm. If you don't own your home, obviously for a home. It's not going to be your castle. It's your stepping stone.
Right.
And if you do have your castle, then the big bucket should be to buy income property.
Right.
Okay? How would you like to retire? If you had 3 to 5 rentals, would that take care of your kids' college?
Yeah.
Would
And then
that-
for you after
Would that take care of your retirement?
Mhm.
Would that take care of your travel?
Mhm.
So my point is, talking about mortgages, either way, you're paying a mortgage. You just have to decide if you want to pay yours or your landlord's, and if you want somebody else to pay yours for another property while you travel.
Right. Exactly.
So bottom line, that's it. If you follow these steps, you're going to get into the habit. And when you start seeing, if you keep your small buckets and you start seeing the college buckets start getting filled, or you have a trip planned and that bucket starts getting filled. Suggestion: never go on a vacation unless it's totally paid.
Yeah, don't use your credit card to go on vacation.
Don't use your credit card.
Because then you come back and then you have all those payments to pay back. I mean,
Exactly.
all the vacation, the time, the good relaxing time you had, it's going to be stress when you get back, and you got to pay that.
Yes.
I think that one of the things I have a lot of friends that use their credit cards all the time. Thank God I don't have that problem. To me, it's like I wouldn't go and ask you, Karen, can you lend me $50 because I want to buy those pants? You would be like, you want to borrow $50 to buy those pants? Like, really? Like, do you really need them? But when you're using your credit card, it's exactly the same thing. Mm-hmm. You're asking someone, can I borrow that money to buy me some clothes?
But Faby, here's the deal. The difference is that if I lent you the money, then you would pay me back $50. But the credit card will say, sure, here's $50.
You don't even have to pay me right now.
No, don't pay me now. But when you pay me $100.
Yeah. Pay me little by little and then pay me interest. They don't mind. Just pay me the interest every month. You don't even have to pay the $50. So I think I was talking about that the other day, and I think it's loving yourself enough to care for you that you're not going to put yourself in that situation, that you're not going to put yourself in a financial hardship if you don't have to. I mean, there's financial hardships that we go through, Karen.
We all
if we
do.
lose our job or you get sick and you can't work, something like that happens, and then it's obvious, like if you didn't have enough savings, something like that's going to happen. But don't let it be because you're spending money on just traveling when you don't have the money, or buying things you don't need, or using the credit cards. I mean, I remember when I was younger, I used to use my credit cards to go buy my Christmas gifts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, now when I think about it, I'm like, I used to max all my credit cards and it was gifts for everyone in my family.
Yes.
Now it's like, I'm going to buy what I can afford, and whoever, didn't get one, I'm sorry, I couldn't afford that. But I remember spending the whole year to pay off those credit cards so I could use them again.
And then it was Christmas again.
Yes.
Let me tell you, I remember when we first got into San Diego, we had no money. We had no furniture. Our TV was a black and white 13-inch. I went to the swap meet. And
was there color back then? Just kidding.
Can you believe her? Yes, there was. Okay.
I like to teach her.
But we went to the swap meet and bought 2 crib mattresses for the kids. And I remember, do you remember the store? Well, maybe you're too young, but do you remember FedMart, the store? It was sort of like a Walmart.
I think I remember. I've heard that name.
Okay,
yes, I think so.
It was sort of like a Walmart.
I'm not that young. I'm 49.
And I remember that my husband and I would go grocery shopping, and we had $75. So as I put things in the cart, we had to be adding because there was no way I was ever going to be embarrassed by getting to the cashier and not having enough money. So I always stopped after we got to 71. And Tony would always say, well, we still have $4 more.
You're like, no, what
I'm
if
like,
I added
no
wrong?
way, no way. It's okay, it's okay. We have enough. We ate a lot of sardines for a long time. My kids still tease me about it because our drinking cups were the empty yogurt cups. Hey, they're plastic, they don't break, and they hold water, right? So there was no problem. I didn't buy glasses because those were the ones that the kids were using.
Yeah.
So I tell you, it can happen. It was not easy for us. Fortunately, my father taught me this system, and he always said, you got to save, even if it's, $2, $3, put it aside. And always, if you're going to give gifts for Christmas, start in July.
In July, start buying.
Start buying in July, like that. By Christmas, you don't have to worry about anything. And if you receive a Christmas bonus or whatever, you don't have to worry about it.
Karen, I wanted you to, I know this is not just for realtors, but there's a lot of us that work on commission. A lot of my viewers, they're not realtors, but they do work on commission.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, you've been around realtors many years. So, what would be your advice so somebody that's on commission is not struggling? I mean, not everybody's going to be selling a house every month. Unfortunately, some agents sell, a few houses a year only. But how can they do it so they can manage to have enough money for the whole year?
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer, Faby, because even when people are on commission, it's very, very different, okay? We are fortunate where we in real estate, we control our income, okay? It depends on our efforts. But for instance, this weekend, my husband and I went to a furniture store where the people are on commission. And it's very difficult for them because they don't control it. So my suggestion would be, kind of have a system. I'm me, Faby, I'm a person of systems. So depending on what it is that you do, create a system for yourself. If you are at a furniture store and you're on commission, okay, so what can I do to be the first one there? Maybe you do stand by the door instead of being, all the way inside and, just hoping that somebody will walk in all the way back. It's a difficult situation because, as you know, being in sales, what happens when we go shop? Okay, we walk in and they tell us, oh, can I help you find anything? And what do we say? No, thank you, just looking. So it is hard. So it depends on what you're doing. And I think that the most important piece is that we have to think about how can we bring value to the people that need our service. So depending on the industry that you're in, that's what you have to do. I'm sure that a lot of our viewers have encountered the situation where they're looking for a car. And you drive in and you get out of the car and there's several salespeople chatting amongst themselves and nobody approaches you.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. Same thing. You can go to a store and, and maybe it is because we force them to do that because we're going to say, no, we don't need any help. But you have to be a little more aggressive. You have to have a plan.
Have a goal of how many items you need to sell to make your commission. And how many months do you think they should have in reserves if you work on commission?
People always say have 6 months reserves. 6 months would be really great. But again, San Diego is expensive, Faby. And it's not easy to have 6 months. I say have 3 months. Shoot for 3 months because in 90 days, that's one full quarter. If something happens, that will give you enough time to recoup.
Yeah, if you lose an escrow or if you lose a big sale, you're able to recover because you have your monthly payments there for 3 months. And when you're stressed because you're not going to be making that money, it's, things don't work out because you're not thinking clear, because you're so stressed that you're not going to make that money, you're not going to make your payments, that it just doesn't work because your mind is not really there. You're already stressed out. But when you have money, you're like, well, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And amazingly, that's when it works out because you're really not worried about it.
And, it's really sad, but the truth is that money gives you power.
Yes.
So my suggestion is, even though I say 3 months, if you don't have any savings at this point, shoot for 1 month right now.
One month in reserves, and
if
then
you have
escalate to
know
2
your
months.
break-even point. That's the first thing you have to. Step 1, get rid of your credit cards. Step 2, know your break-even point. And from there, have your goals be set as 1 month of living expenses that we're not going to touch. It's going to feel really good. So the second and third months are going to be a lot easier.
Right, because you have that other money there. So tell us, you guys, your tips. I know, SB, I know you're being on a saving mode for a few months. Let me know what's working for you. Many of you that are here, Jenny, tell me how you do it. What is it that you do to keep your reserves there? So give us your tips. Hopefully you're getting some good tips here from Karen. You want to give me that? And so let's just go over like really quick recap. So it's get rid of your credit cards. You want to go over the I wrote them here. Get rid of your credit cards.
Get rid of your credit cards.
Set goals in writing
Mm-hmm.
to create a roadmap and be very specific on your goals. Save first and then spend.
So pay yourself first. Okay? Remember, if we have that philosophy of, I'll save whatever is left over, just think, 401k. There's a reason why that 401k was invented. Because even if we have a steady paycheck, if we touch it, it's gone.
So pay yourself first. The other one is know your break even point. Make sure you know how much your minimum monthly expenses are. How much do you need a month to just live and pay your minimum payments? And then go from there, like how much money you need so you can implement it to your goal. And the other one was don't get a line of credit just to spend it. Make sure you have a goal. Why does it make sense to get your line of credit and really dig into your equity of your house?
It has to make sense,
Yeah.
okay? Because equity line will be a deduction for you,
Right.
okay? But if you go to Hawaii, it's not worth it. It's going to be expensive.
Right. Yeah. Make sure when you're using your credit cards that you have a plan when you're going to sell it. Sometimes you get points on your credit cards, and the way like I use them is I use my credit cards throughout the month and they're completely paid off at the end of the month. And that way I get to make points on those credit cards, but I'm not paying any interest because they get completely paid off at the end of the month. But if I ever needed to keep it in there a couple of months, it wouldn't be an issue because I have all that credit available there. So you want to make sure that it makes sense when you're using the credit cards and that you have a plan. How are you going to pay it back? Don't just
But
go
you have
shop.
to have the discipline because a lot of people say, okay, yes, I'm going to get a credit card and I'll pay it off every month. But then, end of the month comes, it's like, oh, I didn't realize I owed so much. Okay, no, then I'll just pay a portion. And then we use it again, and that's the way they start growing. So that's why I'm saying keep one like that, and yes, if you use it, pay it off.
Right.
If you go to Costco, the moment you get home, pay it off.
Right.
Otherwise, again, the debt starts growing and growing, and they eat you alive with the interest rates.
I know, and then you end up refinancing your house to pay them off, and then your mortgage payment goes up. So, okay. Well, I know you've made a lot of equity on your house because you've owned your house how long?
You're glad you're not my realtor.
I would have
Yes.
not made any money the last many years?
We have been in the same house for 31 years.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yes.
That's good. How much was it when you bought it?
We paid a whole $176,000 for it. And today,
Wow.
we just had it appraised.
That's here in Rancho del Rey.
Very close to $700,000.
Wow. That's a lot of equity there.
Yes.
You scored.
And if you consider that now the capital exemption law allows you to be exempt of paying taxes, $500,000 for a couple and $250,000 for individual, I've scored.
Yeah, if you sell, it's tax-free.
Tax-free.
All your profit.
Mm-hmm.
It's the buying a house is the way to go.
That's another benefit.
I wanted to tell you a few of the people that are here.
Yes.
Salvador, Erika, Imelda Soto, gracias por estarnos viendo. Está aquí Sandra Henricks. Hi, Coach. Jamie, David Gonzalez, Aileen, but she doesn't want you to know that she's there. Ana Hueso. Ana, thank you for always joining us. Antonio.
Antonio Cavaljan. Hi, Antonio.
Evan Tando, another one of the agents. Luis Isaiz. Jenny, Stephanie Puente.
Osiris.
Hola.
Marilyn, how are you?
Melanie Flores, una de las lenders. Ella estaba antes en Point Mortgage.
Uh-huh.
Francisco Hernández, Jesse Ángeles, Merab Castañeda, Espi Esperanza. There's many of you here. Francisco López. Hola, Pancho.
Hola, Pancho.
Ven a saludarnos.
Y
Grace
Víctor.
Castillo. Víctor Castillo, saludos, Karen. Loving it. Algunos de los comentarios, very true, awesome information, very accurate information, muy interesante tema. Karen, está muy bien este programa en internet. Saludos. Hello. If it's lipstick, I need it. Bonjour. Hola, ¿cómo
No
estás?
questions?
No questions. I think we covered everything.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
did.
I think we
We
gave
did.
them really, really good tips. And is there anything you recommend to anyone that's struggling? Like, where can they go for help if they're struggling with gambling, using their credit cards? What should they do?
You know, there are a lot of associations pretty much for everything. You know, if you have a problem with gambling, there's, you know, Gamblers Anonymous,
Okay.
just like Alcoholic
Alcohol.
Anonymous. So there's always help. The most important piece is to recognize that it's a problem, and it will help if you set your goals, if you know your whys. Because typically, situations like that is because we just don't know our why, and we're not motivated to get a result for something. So then we just want to go, and it's either gamble or, you know, we have people that just shop. You know, they're just
Shopaholics.
shopaholics, right?
Yeah.
And that's just because there's nothing else that is filling their motivation.
Yeah, they're lacking something in some motivation in their life, so they definitely need it's psychological most of the time. So you do want to get help. If that's your problem, reach out to someone, and not someone that's going to go shopping with you, but someone that you know, that you see that they have a good life, they have a good savings, a good retirement. So you want to talk to people like that because they will definitely guide you on what to do.
And sometimes, Faby, you know, they have gotten to that point because they have had to struggle all their life, and they've had, you know, very huge obstacles in front of them. And
Yeah.
if that's the case, I've always said, you know, a good friend is going to be your best therapist because they know you and they care about
Yeah,
you.
and they'll tell you what
And
you're
they'll
doing.
tell you what
Yeah.
to do. So, you know, use your friends and take it from there. You know, get your goals in writing, which is the equivalent to getting the result that you're looking for. And you
Right.
can start by just every morning find out what's the result that you want for that day. We have an agent in our company who has been struggling with alcohol, and he finally decided that he's not going to be like that. So every morning he sends us a posting saying, you know, woke up, had breakfast, and it's another day where I have not had alcohol.
Oh,
So,
that's
you know,
amazing.
it's
Yeah.
really great,
Yeah.
and we always like, you know, bravo, congratulations, keep it up.
Yeah.
And that's what's getting him motivated.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. The acknowledgement that he's
so
doing
same
good.
thing, you know, use your friends with that, you know, text Faby, okay, this month I saved $150.
You can start
Woo-hoo.
at $10.
Yes.
Karen thinks that everybody's a realtor. We said start by $5, $10, but you'll get there. Especially when you just bought a house, sometimes it's a little hard, but you have to still save. Okay, so we're gonna have a raffle. We're gonna pull out 2 names, 2 gift cards, Starbucks. So hopefully, if you're saving, you're not going to Starbucks every day. So we're gonna give you a card that way you can use it. But there's other ways to buy, like coffee.
Faby, now that you say that, that's exactly the way I started. I realized I was spending $15 a week on my Starbucks.
But it's so good.
That was $60 a month.
Right, yeah.
And as I started getting, it's like, okay, I can make my own Starbucks.
Make it in a nice cup. Well, okay, so let's do this. And guys, I'm gonna remind you that we have a really nice listing. It's in Escondido. It's 25950 Kaywood Drive, and we have a really nice video. Are we gonna play the video at the end of the show? Okay, so we have a really nice video that Claudia created for us. This house is listed for $687,000. There was $140,000 put into this house. It was totally remodeled, brand new roof, a different entrance. It's just a beautiful house. So hopefully you like the video. There's going to be an open house this Friday, 2 to 6. So if you are up there after work, stop by. We're going to be there. And remember, we're here for all your real estate needs. I'm here. Karen is here. If you're a realtor and you're
Absolutely.
looking for an awesome office, call
That's
me
you.
first, and then I'll introduce you to Karen. So Karen, help me. Hold on, let me get my drums here. I always get the wrong one.
Okay.
Thank you for all your comments and saying hi.
Okay, let's see. Salvador Ray Fregoso.
Sal, we'll send you a
Sal.
card. Thank you. Okay, one more.
Mirab Castañeda.
Merab, yay! I'll come and bring it to you. That way I can see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Well, thank you so much. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. If you guys have any more questions or want to talk about it, Karen is always here at the office Monday through Friday. So stop by the office. This is a friendly office, and I'm sure
Yes.
you'll be happy to talk to.
And I hope you all got a little golden nugget out of this. It helped me when I heard somebody sharing all this with me. And I no longer have to go grocery shopping with $75 and counting every penny. So I know it works.
Yes, it works. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next Wednesday with another great interview.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.